Hey everyone. So I have another message. You guys are going to have to get used to this because I have a lot of messages that I have to get out to you. And this kind of just will follow through with a lot of the different posts that I am posting, the videos that I'm posting, and the things that I am sharing. And for those of you that don't know, I've been going on this spiritual fasting journey. It's been over a month, and wow, God reveals the concealed. God reveals so many different things, and obviously, I am on fire for the Lord. So, you can knock that if you want. You can say whatever you want, but I am not here to people please. I am here to give a message. I am absorbing and learning and watching and seeing and doing, and there's so many different things that are going on, especially through this spiritual fasting. I said to you guys in the last video, if you wanted to know more about that, let me know. You can always comment. But what I really wanted to talk to you about is how, people fear that they can't talk about the wrongs that you see people doing because it's a popularity thing. It's a thing where like you are worried that people are not going to like you if you say certain things. They're not going to want to support you if you say certain things. They're not going to want to be near you. And one thing that I can say about myself is that I don't really care. I don't really care if you don't like me. I don't really care if you don't like what I have to say. I mean, I love you and I want to share love with you and I want to spread love, but I also don't want to sugarcoat things because I fear that I'm not going to be liked. And I know there's people that don't like me, and I know that there's people that are going to hate on me, and I know that there's people going to say things and they're going to do things, and go for it. That's what I say. Like, I'm on fire for the Lord and I don't have any fear. And I know that as you grow in your faith and you're building that personal relationship with God, that too will come for you. So if you're not there yet where I just got into a conversation with someone, and bless her heart, who had seen my last video, and God has a plan and purpose on your life, and we have to go through seasons and storms and different situations in our lives to build us up for where God needs us to be in the future. And you don't know the future. I don't know the future. We don't know what God's plans are for us. And again, I always say this too, whether you're a believer or whether you're not a believer, you're still going into the future, right? You're still moving, you're still working, you're still, you are, growing in the world. And, maybe you are not a believer right now, but God knows where He has you. Maybe you'll be a believer in the next couple of years. Maybe it'll take some kind of a situation or some kind of a brokenness or something to happen in your life. And in order for you to grow in your faith where God knows you are meant to be, like if He sees that you're on this certain path and He knows where you need to be, you're going to get broken down. And that may be the only way that you are going to get to where you need to be. And unfortunately, the seasons that we all face, which we all face different seasons, we face loss, we face financial hardships, we face, hardships in our family, friends, and, we face loss through that as well. And some doors are opening, some doors are closing. There's so many different things that, you may go through and you're going to experience and you're going to witness. And, God gives you eyes to see. And I wanted to talk about that too. So obviously there are a lot of people in the world that are not blessed with vision. And when I say God gives you eyes to see, I don't mean that God gives you eyes to see like with your eyes. God gives you eyes to see, meaning here. And you know what? I'm not going to get too deep into that because I was going to talk about something else, but I'm not going to talk about it. And some of you may be able to relate, right? So anyway, you know, God's going to give you the eyes to see. They're within your soul. You know what you're feeling. You know what you're going through. You know right from wrong. Okay. And when I say this, obviously I'm not speaking to kids because kids don't know right from wrong. And this is why we as parents should be taking up our crosses and walking more in the image of God, more in the image of our Lord and Savior, so that we can be a prime good example for our children to be led in a world that is being so led by the enemy. And I will continue to keep talking about this because I don't think people realize how much the enemy is working. You know, people call it all different things. The enemy, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, the beast, like all of these different, meanings and whatever. Everybody has their own idea, but I like to say the enemy because he is the enemy. He is not looking to prosper you. He might prosper you, but not looking to prosper you for yourself. Like, he's using you. Like, the enemy will use you. The enemy is real. And he's working in this world. And he's working through people and places and things. And it's really important for you to be discerning of where the enemy is working, how the enemy is working, who the enemy is working through. And also know how to battle that. That's really important. Knowing how to battle the enemy. And it's not, obviously you see, like, the enemy will use people to get the best of you. Like, the enemy will use people to get you to be hateful, to get you to be deceitful, to get you to say and do things that you normally would not do or say. And obviously we're all sinners. And I spoke about that in this last video that I did. And nobody's exempt from that, So that's where the enemy creeps in. He will use people, places, and things. People and places and things that are very close to you, that are very close to your heart. So it's really important that you know how to battle that and you know how to be discerning of that. And so that you can guard your heart and you can guard your mindset. It's really important okay, well, I know that this person is doing this to me. And I know that it is completely wrong. I see the evil in it. And then how are you going to react? How are you going to proceed? What are you going to say? Are you going to really push and reveal the enemy and drive the enemy out? Or are you going to let the enemy devour you and you're going to say something that's pretty hateful to that person when sometimes these people don't even realize the enemy is actually using them because they don't know God, because they aren't discerning, because they aren't spirit and God led. So they don't have that. I can give you a scenario personally for me where, let's just say my marriage, and there you go. The enemy will work wherever your heart is. Right? So your enemy is going to work through your marriage. He's going to try. If you let him. He's going to work through your relationships with your friends and your family. He is going to try because your heart, right? So it's really important to pick out those different things that the enemy is doing. So, for instance, in my marriage, we could be having a conversation and then I might say something and then my husband might say something back. And I have to be discerning to say to myself, am I going to engage and am I going to come at him and be hateful, or am I gonna squash the enemy, like right now, like drive him out and expose the enemy? And while some people might think that people who do that are being hateful, but that's the enemy driving that thought into your head, because we don't want to hear truth. We don't want to hear that the enemy is working in us. We don't want to hear that, we're doing something wrong. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Come on, let's be real honest here. Not everybody wants to hear the truth. Me, I'm human. There's times where people might say something to me and I might not agree with them. And then it might take me like, a day, 2 days, and realize, why did I say that? That really was not me. That really wasn't something I should have said. And then I will apologize. And that's where the forgiveness comes in, right? Not holding the grudge against somebody because they've said something to you that maybe didn't sit on you very well. That wasn't very nice. But for them to come back to you and apologize, that's like a pride thing when you don't come back and apologize, when you don't come back and do something, that reflects that you understand and that you get it, that you are just not in the right place, spiritually and mentally and emotionally and physically. It's okay. And we're so prideful and we think that we can't like say that we're sorry. But also, I think also pride builds up in people because they have said sorry to people and they don't know how to deal with it when they get that rejected, and they're actually sorry and they get that rejection, and the person they're saying sorry to doesn't want to hear it. They don't care, and it's also one thing when you're saying sorry over and over and over and over again about the same thing. Because why? Because eventually it gets old, right? Saying sorry over the same things. Like how many times are you going to keep making the same mistake and going to continue to say sorry? And then, I'm supposed to, be forgiving. And, I think there comes a time where you have to have some boundaries. But, when you say you're sorry, you have to mean it, which means that you're not going to go back and say you're sorry again for the same thing. Meaning, do better. Meaning you sinned, you said it, you did it wrong, own it, realize that you own it, and then say, I can't do that anymore. Why am I doing that? I'm hurting this person. I'm doing something that I don't even know why I even did that. It's just not who I am, right? Because if you're a good person, you're going to tell yourself that. You're going to say, why would I do that? When you know it's wrong, you feel it within your heart that it's wrong. You know what you've done is wrong. So why? Why continue to keep sinning and doing something that you know is wrong? Because the enemy is there. Because there's a weakness in your foundation. There's a crack in your foundation, and you got to find it. You got to find it and you got to heal it. And the only way that you can do that is through God. I'm sorry. It's the only way. There is no other way. You can try to lean on your family. You can try to lean on your friends. You can try to lean on everybody around you, people you don't know. You can take advice. You can do that. But you're never fully going to heal unless you lean on God. So even if you're not a believer, I'm saying this to you too, that you're going to find where like you're just constantly repeating the same mistakes. You're constantly sinning. You're constantly doing things. You're constantly finding yourself in the same predicaments over and over and over and over and over again. And you're like, why? Why does this keep happening to me? Why? Because you didn't go to God with it. Why? Because you didn't ask God for the forgiveness. You didn't go to him. So there's a void there. You're never going to feel like it's enough. You're never going to feel, when you know God, that's when you feel like everything is enough. Like he gives you enough of everything. Like you won't need to cheat. You won't need to steal. You won't need to lie. You won't need to manipulate. You won't need to do any of those things because God gives you enough. And you're never going to know that unless you go to God. And like I said, you might not go to God until, I don't know, you experience something that's tragic in your life. Maybe you're going to go through a different experience with yourself. Maybe cancer, maybe some crazy diagnosis, maybe something. I don't know, maybe the enemy will just keep attacking you, and you'll still be in that predicament, and you're gonna, you know, feel pity. You're gonna feel pity for yourself. And that doesn't show strength. You have to pick yourself up. You have to go to God. And even if God doesn't answer when you really need him to answer, have faith. That's what having faith is. Having faith is knowing that, okay, like you're looking for instant gratification. You're looking for that instant, like, you know, happiness, that instant joy, that instant, and sometimes it's not going to be there, but you have to have faith. You have to know what faith is. You have to have faith in order to be able to move and navigate through different situations, different storms, different seasons in your life, because there is always a lesson in there. God will always work good in anything that the enemy is working in. Believe me, he will. I have seen it with my own eyes. I have watched it. I share the testimony with you. And this is why I don't have any fear. Like, people can say what they want to say, but until those people who are saying things have walked a mile in my shoes and know the things that I have experienced in my life to get me to where I am, then what are their words? What are their words? What do they mean to you? You're going to harbor that. It's going to depress you. It's going to make you sad. It's going to make you angry. It's going to make you frustrated. And those are all enemy-driven feelings and emotions. It's not good. And so these are the things that you have to be discerning of. So you have to be discerning of these different feelings that you're having. I think I just repeated myself. But you have to be discerning of it so you know what you're dealing with, so you know how to battle it. And I have to tell you, I mean, these last few months, I am serious. Like, I have seen some stuff, some really evil stuff that made me very angry and made me think about just all kinds of things. And I'm like, this is not of God. This is not what God would want. This is not me. This is not who I am. So why would I give somebody that kind of power and control over me? Why? Why would I do that? And that's really what kind of led me into the spiritual fasting, because I'm like, this is not happening. I am nope, shutting doors, shutting people out. Nope, not going there. I see it. I see the enemy. Why would I want to go anywhere? Why would I want to go anywhere the enemy is? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to put myself in that situation without equipping myself with God's armor and God's strength that he gives me? Why would I? And you know, when you're in that moment and you're dealing with people who are not nice to you, who say things to you and do things to you, and you know it's not nice, and it just like, it gets you so angry and so mad, like, why are you going to give the enemy that kind of power over you? Why would you do that? Why? I mean, are you weak? So those are questions you have to ask yourself. Are you weak? Is there a crack in your foundation? Is there something that you're not healed from? Is there something you're doing and saying? Like, why? Like, what is it? Where's your heart being led? What's your mindset? Where's your mindset at? What's it telling you? Like, are you letting the enemy in? You know, is he creeping in? You know, you gotta think about those things. Like, I don't want to be anywhere where the enemy is. But until God equips me with the strength that I need to move forward, I can't. That's the discernment. You have to be able to relate that and say, nope, not going there. Nope. Like, even in your marriage, you see things that are happening and taking place, you really know you're getting that feeling like, you know what, I'm not going there. You know what? And you can drive it out and say, you know what? I see the enemy working here. I'm not having this discussion. I'm sorry. I'm just not having it right now. And that's it. That's the end. That's the end of it. And then go straight to God with it. Go straight to God with it and ask him, like, God, I need you to lead me in this, because, like, I can't do this. I can't do this alone. I can't walk this alone. I can't. So, like, this is what I'm saying. This is why we need, and I'm saying, and I think the reason why I'm sharing these messages with you is because God is like pulling me and he's like saying, if you know this, you need to tell the people. You need to tell people. You need to help equip people with what they need. You might not think you need it, but I know that you need it because I needed it and I didn't know I needed it, and I now know that I needed it. And I see people walking daily through different things, and I just am like, you need God. Like, you just need him. Like, I know, like, it's so hard. Sometimes you're prideful and you're like, I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. I'm good. You know, I got my husband. I got my wife. I got my kids. I got my this. I got my that. I got my nice car. I got, you know, I'm a millionaire. I'm a billionaire. I'm a trillionaire. You know, I got all this money. I got a nice job. I got this. I don't need God. I got it. I got it all on my own. Okay. Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that. Because one day, you are going to need him. Just saying. So, yeah, I'm talking about these things because I know these things, because I have been through these things. I've experienced these things, and I see how God works, and I see where I was confused at one time and where I didn't know. And like, I wish there was somebody to tell me, you know, physically, you know, obviously God, I mean, like, God just, like, he whispers to you. You're not going to hear it. Hello, I'm trying to talk to you. No, you're not going to hear that. That's not what you're going to hear. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it in your heart. You're going to hear it here. That's where you're going to hear it. And no, I'm not like, oh my God, your voices in your head. If you hear voices in your head and they're telling you to go harm yourself or harm somebody else, well, that's like, hello, that's the enemy working. Shut it down. Shut that down. You hear that in your head? Oh, I'm so angry. Go make that phone call. Tell them how you feel. Tell them how you feel. Shut it down. You don't need to do that. Go to God. I promise you. I promise you. It's probably the one thing that I could promise you as a human being, like, that I could really promise you. You just go to him. Go to God and just give it to him. See, I can't, I know this is, whatever I'm feeling right now, this is not good. I don't know what to do with this. Like, you know, I can't handle this anymore. I don't know what to do. Go to God. He knows what to do, because he knows the future plans he has for you. You don't know the future plans you have for you. You don't, but God does. He does. And so he is going to answer you. And I said it in the last video, he might not answer you the way you think that he's going to answer you. So you have to be, when you're asking, right, you have to be open to receiving, right? You have to, if you're going to ask God for his help, and you're going to ask God for guidance and ask God for all these different things, you're going to have to open your heart, as hard as it is, to really receive what it is and when it is that he gives it to you, because you might miss it. And then you're going to continue to go through these different doors, and they're the wrong doors. And you're going to continue to go through this different cycle of just being frustrated and angry and saying things and doing things that you know aren't the right things, but you say them anyway because you're frustrated, because you miss God's word for you. You missed it. He answered your prayer and you missed it. And then God says, well, they're not ready because they didn't hear me. So you're going to have to continue to go through what it is that you're going through, and you're going to have to continue doing it, and you're going to have to continue until eventually it's like a light bulb just clicks. It's like the light. Whoa, there it is. Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I listen? I heard you. Well, I've had experiences like that a lot in the past, probably a couple of years, a lot in my life. You know, so now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he was telling me the whole entire time and I did not listen. And now look what I had to go through. Now look at this mess. Now look at this mess I got myself into because I didn't listen. And while it's nothing that can't be fixed, you know, because if you're still here alive and you're breathing and you're walking and you're talking and you're still here on this earth, then you have not yet received your promise yet. So don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep building your faith. Keep walking in faith, taking up your cross, going to God every single time. And guess what? There's still times, sometimes that, like, I'll give you a scenario. Here, I'll give you this. It's so funny because I just kind of pitched this scenario a little bit earlier today. So, like, here's this cup, right? And I'm serious because this has happened to me. And it's like, I'm doing dishes, I'm walking around my kitchen, I'm doing all this stuff, and this cup's sitting here with a straw in it. Just pretend these are straws. And I'm like looking at it, and then it's like, I hear this whisper, move the cup, move the cup. And I'm just like, whatever, I'm ignoring it, whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm cleaning the counters and whatever. And then my sleeve hits the straw and the cup goes all over the place. And then I'm like, I should have moved the cup. Something so simple as that. Do you get what I'm saying? So something so simple as that, imagine it on a bigger scale. Your marriage, your friendships, your family, everything, your friends, all of it, like all of it. Imagine if you had God within your heart and your life, and you had that personal relationship with him, and you were building that personal relationship with him, and you could just know, and you would make better decisions, and you would steer clear of outcomes that the enemy is he's just waiting. He's just waiting. He was waiting for that to fall over. He was just waiting, and I just was like, whatever. You know? That's like the same thing in your marriage, like, whatever, you know, I'm going to do this anyway, you know, like, you know, how many marriages end in divorce because of cheating, because of lying, because of so many different things. And imagine if you had God in your life from the very beginning, and, you know, he was there for you to talk to, and you knew that, and you could go to him, and imagine all the better choices that you would make. So I'm saying this to you, whether you're a believer or not. I'm saying this to you that you can't say to me, well, God isn't real. That doesn't exist. God isn't whatever. You can't say that to me. Just like you don't fear me. Just like your words are words. Like, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I know because I've seen it with my own eyes. And that little example was just one of many. And I mean, I even look back and I'm like, I could have totally done that better. But you know what? I wasn't ready. Like, there are just certain things that will happen in your life, and when you're not ready, you're going to know when you're not ready, because you're going to continue to go through different things. And, you know, it's to strengthen you. It's not to hurt you. It's to strengthen you. It's to get you to come closer to God. It's to get you to want to believe in God. It's to get you to, you know, see things differently in a different light. You know, so this is why I say, you know, we're so afraid to, like, you know, talk about God openly. Not we're, because I'm not, but there are a lot of people that are. And you know what? And it will come as you grow in faith, and it'll come as you, you know, go through different things in your life. And, but and then people fear like, oh, they're not going to like me if I talk about this. They're not going to like me if I bring this to the light. And oh, if I tell them that they did this wrong, they're not going to support me, and they're going to get mad at me. And that's fear. What are you fearing? And so we're really supposed to all be lifting each other up in Christ, right? We're all supposed to be lifting each other up. Even those that don't believe, we're supposed to be lifting each other up. We're not supposed to be kicking people when they're down. We're supposed to be having discussions about things that, maybe aren't so comfortable. And that's the thing. If you're a believer, you're going to have to get uncomfortable for God. You're going to have to, whether you want to or not. This lukewarm Christianity, and you know what? I kept hearing that saying, lukewarm Christianity, and I kept, I was like talking to God, like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? It means that you're not on fire for God. Like, you can't say that you're a believer of God and be lukewarm. And lukewarm means like, well, I don't want to talk about this because I won't get as many people who will like me and will follow me and support me if I say this. But even though God is like, oh, I can feel it, that God wants me to talk about it. He wants me to go to this person and talk to them, and he wants me to, but like, if I do, and then I talk about this, and I talk about it in this way, like, nobody's gonna like me. So we're just gonna pretend that like, oh, believers, it's all about positivity. It's all about, oh, the glory of God. It's all about, it's so simple. It's just love and love and love and, no enemy and no, what? Yeah, no. That's lukewarm. That's lukewarm. Being afraid to talk about things because you're worried that you're going to offend somebody. Do you think Jesus worried about offending anybody? No, he talked about God. He talked about God. He talked about the good things. He talked about the bad things. He talked about all of it. He didn't care if he went up to someone and he performed a miracle right in front of someone, even if it wasn't a holy holiday for someone, or if he was told that he couldn't do that. And he wasn't worried about people hating him. I mean, he said, basically, if the world hates me, what makes you think, if you're going to take up your cross and you're going to walk more like me, what makes you think that, you're going to be liked all the time? What makes you think that, everybody's going to love you? You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to understand that it's okay that people don't like you and love you and don't want anything to do with you. And that's really, really hard in the world that we're living in, to be able to accept that. It's really hard to accept that people may not like you. Like, because we all want, who wants to not be liked? Who wants to not be loved? It's only natural for us to want to be loved. Like, hello, perfect example. Like, we all want to be loved. So when we see that we're not loved and that we're not liked, it's sad. It can anger you. It could frustrate you. But the moment that you know God and you go through different experiences in life, you start to realize that's not what life is about. Like, it's about me loving you. It's about me loving you enough to be uncomfortable enough to tell you things that you don't want to hear, because the world makes you, feel like, that's wrong. The world programs us to feel like we can't say that, we can't do that, we can't think for ourselves, we can't, and so we're like, no, it's uncomfortable. We don't want to get uncomfortable. That's lukewarm. And I see a lot of Christians, a lot of believers in God being lukewarm. I see it. And I'm seeing it even more now. And so I think that it's really important to understand the difference and to be on fire for God. Get to know God if you don't know God already, and build that personal relationship, before you get to a point where you have to be broken. Like, why does it take for people to be broken in order to know God. Like I wish I would have known that. But I guess it's just the way it is, right? Because God knows the plans he has for you. I don't know the plans he has for you. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know, I could be just wasting my time talking to you about this right now, and but I'm still going to talk about it. And and it doesn't matter if people hate me or have something to say to me or that's negative. I don't really care. But maybe what I'm saying right now isn't going to sit on you right now. But maybe in a year from now, you might say, oh, that girl, she said that. Oh, that girl. I don't know. I don't know what God's plans are, Who knows? Only God could know that. And so I don't have any fear. I'm telling you guys not to have any fear. I'm letting you know that when something is wrong and you see that it's wrong, you got to talk about it. You got to talk about it. It's time to rise up. It's time to get on fire for God. It's time to talk about it. It's time to let people know that, you know what? The enemy sees everything you're doing. Like everything. You think that when you're sitting on the toilet, that God doesn't see what's going on. And the enemy sees too. I mean, the enemy sees everything you're doing. God sees everything you're doing. That's why the enemy can creep in wherever he wants to and crack your foundation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the enemy and God. But who are you? Are you good? Or are you doing evil things? Are you sinning and continuing to sin even though people say things to you that, the reason they're telling you is for a reason, and you're not listening, and you know that you're wrong, and now you know because now it's being told, and now you're thinking about it, but you don't care because you know what, you're gonna make $100,000, so you don't really care if it's good or bad or not. You're making that $100,000. Doesn't really matter. That's what I'm saying. So you know right from wrong. So I call you out. So stop doing the things that are wrong when you know they're wrong. Make better choices, even if they're uncomfortable for you, even if you lose $100,000. If you know that it's wrong, whatever it is that you're doing, don't get yourself involved. Don't do it. Don't make the decisions that are going to ultimately cost you. That's it. Be wise. Be still. And know. Love you all.